This feels awfully formal. Like, I feel like I'm doing a job interview. Like, hello everyone, my name's Holly and I have been in China a year, the job interview. So as the title is suggesting, this is a video about me reflecting on my first year in China. Yeah, a whole year in China. I don't really know how to feel. Like, it feels so much longer than a year, but at the same time it doesn't feel like yesterday since I came here. There are so many things I kind of want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about things that people aren't interested in. So I asked on the good old Instagram. If you're not following me, I'll have linked it down below. And I thought I would do these questions first before I start talking about things I'd do different, things I'm looking forward to, and that kind of thing. First question, what made me decide to go? I was stuck in a rut in my life. I was planning on a big change, not as big as moving to China, but I was planning on maybe moving down south, changing the job that I was in. I didn't want to be going from paycheck to paycheck, so I wanted to do something where I could start saving and start looking towards the future, and the opportunity just literally just popped up. So part of one of the other questions I got was, how did you get your job there? So I already knew someone who was living in China and working over here, and he kind of popped up with the opportunity. And like I said, I was looking for a change, and I can make some really spontaneous decisions, and this was one of the really spontaneous decisions that I made. I thought, you know what, it'll be something different, probably won't get the job, but let's kind of see what happens. And I ended up getting the job, obviously. And here we are, 1 year later. What was the process like? The process was really, getting the job was really easy. We just added each other on a platform. We arranged an interview, then I got the job, and they kind of just asked, when are you going to come over? And that was pretty much it. They told me places to be and what to do when I got here. They didn't really give a lot of information, to be fair. I don't know whether it's just because I am like this as a person, but I found it incredibly difficult to know what I was doing when I got here. I ended up booking a transfer because they said, just get in a taxi, you'll be fine. And I hated the idea of that. Did you go on your own or with a group of you? On my own. I got on the plane on my own with my not so little suitcase. I flew all the way on my own, got all the way on my own, and then a few days after I got there, which is going to lead on to a really funny story. A few days after I got there, I was in a hotel, and turns out I was sharing a room with someone. No one told me this. So I arrived. I didn't even want to leave my room. I had left the first day so that I could go and find food, because, you know, girls gotta eat, and I literally got a bunch of snacks, stayed in the hotel room and played Sims. Then I think it was the second day, so I had had a whole day, I'd not left the room, and I was gonna go to sleep early. So I could probably find out the time exactly. It was something like 11:30 at night. I'm trying to get to sleep, and then I hear like rattling of my door as if someone's trying to turn it. And when you're in a foreign country, you're terrified. I have never moved anywhere, so I didn't know how to speak the language, so I just kind of sat up in my bed and I watched the door. Luckily, I had put the latch across so that no one could get in, and they were like rattling and rattling, like trying to open it with a key card, and I thought maybe they've just got the wrong room, but I can't go out and answer because if I do, then they're not going to know what I'm saying. And to me, the possibility of another foreigner being there was like, never, they would have told me. And yeah, it was my roommate. So after, I remember messaging my dad, terrified. My heart was like this. I was like, Dad, there's someone trying to get into my room and I don't know who it is. I'm terrified. Then 5 minutes later, the door opened. I have never been more terrified, and these two foreign people are just at the door with the downstairs clerk that can open the doors and things, and my heart just, I have never felt such a pressure relief from my shoulders. I could breathe and I was like, oh my goodness. I couldn't really speak. I'm a very shy person around people I don't know, and I was around these people that had just broken into my room, and I remember the girl I was sharing with was very confident, luckily, and she was like, oh hi, I guess we're sharing a room. And that's the story of how I became a single lonesome traveller to travelling within a group. Would not recommend. What was the hardest part about leaving? I don't know. Leaving my dogs was a really big thing for me because my dogs are everything. I remember constantly asking for pictures of the dogs. Like when I went on holiday, I would ask every day, what are the dogs doing? How are the dogs? What's new with the dogs? So partially that, and partially just moving to another country with no real plan. Like, I had an idea of what I was going to be doing, but I didn't know how that would pan out. I remember as soon as I got to my hotel room, I cried. I wanted to cry the whole journey there. From the second I said goodbye to my dad at the airport to literally the hotel room, I held off. I kept telling myself, hold off to this next point. And then when I got to the next point, I was like, no, I'm going to keep it in. I'm not gonna cry. And then I did when I got to the hotel room, because I felt like I'd made a mistake and I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and it felt like everything was just so far away. So I guess that was the hardest part, really. The adjusting. I remember saying to my mum, I think I'll definitely be home by next year. This time next year I will be home. And that's if I even last that long. I didn't even believe that I was going to last that long. Evidently I did. Was it a massive culture shock? Surprisingly, no. I've spoken to so many people about this. I never had a massive culture shock. Obviously everything is completely different, but I never felt out of my depth. I would hear like, okay, babies wear pants with holes in so they don't have to wear diapers, and that just, I was like, makes sense, bit weird, makes sense. And it wasn't until I actually saw that happening that I was kind of like, whoa, that's kind of weird. I don't know if, like, I don't know how I feel about that. Was it hard to make friends? No. There seems to be a massive expat community here where everyone's willing to be your friend, mostly. Obviously there's people, but you see another foreigner and you just kind of like, oh, foreigner. That's probably just me. The area that I live in is not so, like, not open to foreigners, but there's just not so many foreigners here. So every time I see someone, I'm like, oh my god, you don't belong here. But people are so friendly. Even the locals are friendly, and I've made a lot of friends since I got here. I'd like to make more, but I also don't have time to go out anywhere and meet new people. But as soon as you meet someone, you meet some of their friends, then you start hanging out with them, and it's just kind of like a roll-on effect. People just meet people so easily here, I think. What is something you thought you never would have overcome but now have? Okay, so teaching. Completely 110%. That is the one thing that I remember in my first week, my first couple of months, it was hell. I jumped straight into a schedule, and it wasn't like it was 1 hour, rest of your day free. It was come in, do this, then do this, then you've got a class, then you've got 1 hour break, then you've got another class, then you've got another class straight after that. And being new to teaching, I hated it because I felt so out of my depth. I felt like I wasn't adjusting, and honestly at that point I was counting hours in the day for it to be over. I could have cried at the fact of a Saturday. And now, having been out of classrooms for so long, I'm just like, please let me get in, let me get back to class, let me get back to a full day of teaching with kids in front of me. And I can honestly say that I didn't think I'd overcome it, and I have. And I feel very proud for doing so because it's not easy. What advice would you recommend people in a similar situation? Be open to meeting new people, be open to talking to people, and try to not look at things in the moment, because things can seem very big and scary in the moment, but give it a couple of weeks and chances are that big massive thing that you've been terrified about is not going to be as bad. And don't put it off. I put off coming to China for ages. I was like, oh, I want to do my TEFL before I move. I want to do this, I've got to do this. And it was all put off tactics. I would have never admitted it at the time because I genuinely believed that doing these things was stuff I had to do. But looking back completely, I'm like, yeah, I put that off. So don't put it off. Did you plan your accommodation and job before going, or did you just hope for the best? Accommodation was hoping for the best. When we got there, we had 2 weeks in a hotel, and then we were told, fend for yourself. Luckily meeting people enabled me to find a place pretty quickly. I ended up staying with someone, and then when they moved out, I moved in with the person they were staying with. And the job was something that was spoken about before I got here. Do you ever think you'll come back to England? Yes, yes, yes. I absolutely love China, but my heart is back home. And even still, I refer to England as home, and I miss it. I miss going up to the Lake District. I miss going down to see my best friend in Colchester. I miss hanging out with all of my friends in England. And I just feel like there's a lot of life experiences and a lot of things that I can do in England that I can't do here. Like, I can shop, but I can't just jump onto boohoo.com, sponsor me, and don't sponsor me because can you even ship to China? If you can, sponsor me. I can't just order from places like that because I find I'm too scared of whether the things will arrive or not. And my birthday is coming up at the beginning of August, and I'm worried about like cards arriving from my family. What was the visa process like? Really easy. A lot easier than I anticipated. So you have to have proof of where you're staying, what you're doing, and it was easy. The last one is a request, which I will not be partaking in. You need to eat a ghost pepper chili. My brother, ladies and gentlemen, Banter King all the way from England. No, not eating one. Sorry. I have better things to do with my time than cry. So that is the questions that I received. I do just want to say what I love and what I'm looking forward to in the next year. So what I loved about this last year, the people. The people I met were absolutely incredible, and I have met some friends for life. I've met people that have changed my outlook on life, and I think that's the incredible thing about living in another country with people who are also from another country. It gives you the opportunity to kind of see how other people think. I didn't realise until quite recently we're all very much our own countries. I can pick out personality traits of an English person that doesn't just extend to my town. That extends to the whole of England. I won't go into it because it's really tedious, but I find it so interesting how people have completely different mindsets to anyone I have ever met in my life. I have met some of the nicest people, the most genuine people, and I would say that's very top of my list. Also, getting to see some of the places I have seen. I randomly just went to the Great Wall for a walk. And how many people can say that? How many people can be like, yeah, I just went to the Great Wall today. It was planned, but not really planned. Just decided a few days ago, we'll go to the Great Wall. I did that. I went to Thailand. Admittedly, I haven't been to many places. Annoyingly, I haven't been to many places. With the timing of the way holidays fall and everything that's happened, I haven't had a chance to go to another country or even really explore this country. So in the next year, I'm hoping I get to explore this country, some of the countries across this side of the world, because while I'm here, if I can, why wouldn't I? That's really high up on my priorities. And I want to grow my YouTube, so if you can subscribe, please do, because that will fund my future plans. Well, not fund my future plans, but it will help me be able to do my future plans. What else am I looking forward to? Getting back into a classroom. I cannot tell you how much I miss teaching kids in person. I miss them. I see them on my computer all the time, but that's your computer, that's not teaching them. And I want to give them all hugs and have conversations with them properly and just be back in that kind of atmosphere. Oh my goodness, I just remembered the funniest story from my second week. Remember the vlog I showed you with the torrential downpour? The thunder and lightning? It was that kind of rain. I had no coat. I was meeting up with my friend and we were gonna go get food. So we had to leave the subway because we met there, and we had to walk a little bit to find a place to get a taxi, I think, or to go somewhere else. Anyway, so why didn't we just get the subway? Upon reflection, we should have just got the subway. We went for food and rain has never soaked me as much as it did that day. Within 2 seconds of stepping outside, it was soaked. We got home, and then the next day, I think I went out for a walk just to kind of see the area, kind of get to know my bearings. And when I came back, I was walking along the hall and I was being a bit nosy, seeing, you know, a couple of the doors are open. That's really weird. Maybe it's just checkout time. So I was looking and I noticed, first of all, these rooms had windows, which my room did not. I'll show you some pictures. My room did not have windows and it highly distressed me. I remember walking in on the first day that I got there, the first night, thinking I can just have a look out the window, get some fresh air. No, none of that. So I was looking because, you know, they had windows. They're fancy. And I noticed it was really, really bright. Not like room bright, but like outside kind of bright. And it had a weird noise coming from it. So I looked a bit better as I was getting down the hallways. Then I noticed water. And then I noticed the ceiling was hanging down and the ceiling had broken in not just one room, but multiple rooms. So all of these ceilings had collapsed. And I was like, what? How? Are they not used to this weather or something? And I got to my room. I was like, that's really weird. I recorded it, so I'm going to try and put the footage in here. If not, I'm going to put it on my Instagram. I'm going to upload it, put it on my stories the day that this goes live. So if you haven't seen that, go check out my Instagram. I remember getting this footage and going back into my room, looking at it like, what on earth is going on? Then I sat down, chilled out. 2 minutes later, there was a at my door, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to converse with people in a language I do not know. I opened the door and it was the woman from downstairs. I think she spoke a bit of English because she asked me to remove rooms, and it was not great, but it was amazing for, like, I didn't think anyone here knew this language. So I was like, okay. So she was like, we're gonna have to take you downstairs. It's not safe up here. So I was like, what? My roommate wasn't there and her stuff was out, just like mine was. So I had to pack all of her stuff up, pack all of mine, and carry these massive suitcases down to the floor below. I messaged for her to come back, and we were in this room for maybe literally 5 minutes before I got another at the door. And I thought, God, what now? I opened the door and she's like, you can't stay here anymore. You have to leave. It's not safe. And I was like, what? I didn't book this hotel, and it's not the easiest thing to find a hotel for foreigners to stay at. So I've heard. I can't attest for that because I've never booked a hotel myself here. So I'm contacting the person I'm supposed to contact because I'm the only one that's around that can deal with this. And I'm like, they're saying we have to leave, what do I do? So we ended up taking all of our stuff, and after hours finding a new hotel. And then it was all plain sailing from there. We actually pretty much got upgraded in the hotel department because it was all they could find in that time. And yeah, I would probably say that's one of my most interesting things to happen. It was a very interesting couple of hours. I'm trying to think if there's any more really interesting stories. I convinced my friend once that chickens had 4 legs. He knows exactly who he is, and I'm not going to be surprised if he messages me like, Holly! Just so many good times with my friends, like going out and seeing places, going to the Great Wall, going on day trips. We've done a lot of that, and I owe this year being as good as it was to my friends, because without them I don't think it would have been a very fun year, and I think with them this next year is going to be amazing as well. I don't know if my journey in China will extend more than a year, but if it's only a year, I'm here to make the most of it. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, make sure you like and subscribe. I am trying to find more content to upload. It's a bit difficult because my schedule is crazy right now, but I am working on some videos that have sort of been requested. So if you are interested in seeing what else I've got to offer, make sure you go like and subscribe. I'll also leave my Instagram down below. You should definitely follow me on there as well. And I will see you next time.